Hey, Jesse here from Portable Church. Today we're going to talk about the 5 teams you need for a rockin' Sunday. You can't do it all yourself. That's just not going to happen. Regardless of how awesome you think you are, which I'm sure you are, you're only one person and you're not going to get it all done yourself. You're not going to do setup, run sound, run lighting, handle kids ministry, and preach. Good luck, right? Okay, so let's talk about those 5 teams and let's break it down a little bit. Here's our 5 teams, right? So first team is setup and teardown. Setup and teardown team becomes incredibly important, right? Because you don't have time to do that. And pastor, hear me when I say this. Your job is not to do setup and teardown on Sunday. Your job is to teach and preach and love on those folks that show up. If you're fired up and then burned out, right, after doing all this setup and teardown and you're a big old sweaty mess, you're not gonna have nearly as much energy as you should for preaching. So how about you focus on that and build a team. You're gonna need people that are gonna do kids ministry setup. You're gonna need people that are gonna do hospitality and lobby setup. That includes interior and exterior signs. You're gonna need people that are gonna be active in all the other areas, because we're talking literally unloading a trailer, setting it all up, doing church, tearing it all back down, putting it back into the cases, and loading it back into the trailer. Let's talk about AVL. Your AVL team not only runs your AVL during the service, but they're usually involved in the setup process as well. So we're talking about getting if you have an LED wall, getting that set up, getting your projector up and getting it aimed, getting everything keystoned correctly, because nobody wants to look at that when it's all wonky and weird, right? And you know exactly what I'm talking about. We're also talking about stage setup, right? So again, running cables, running cords. We're talking about the mics, making sure everything's powered up, fresh batteries, everything's good to go, making sure your levels are good, making sure cameras are pointed and aimed correctly, that your live stream's firing on all cylinders. Okay, let's talk about kids ministry, because again, kids ministry's got to be separate. Kids ministry is incredibly vital. Let me take just a quick second here to talk about kids ministry in a way that sometimes it doesn't get discussed. The interesting thing about kids ministry is, generally speaking, you've only got one opportunity. Now, you may have heard however many chances you've got. All it takes for a family to come once and be done is for their kids to not have a good time. I've got 2 kids, so I know exactly what it means for my kids not to have a good time. That can be something as simple as they just got bored. Doesn't mean that you guys aren't awesome. Doesn't mean you don't love children. Doesn't mean that your volunteers aren't amazing and that your environment's cool. But you got to keep them entertained, right? So your kids ministry, folks, that's your #1 resource for keeping those kids entertained and keeping things going, keeping it lively, knowing their names, connecting with those kids. The reason that I'm at the church I'm at right now is because I love our pastor. He's fantastic. I love the relationships that I have. The thing that locked me in from the very get-go, before I fell in love with everything else, was the kids ministry. Do not forget kids, okay? Your volunteers are a key piece of that. So make sure you're selecting the right ones as well. Next is going to be hospitality. I don't know about you, but I love a hot cup of coffee when I'm sitting in church, which means you got to have a hot cup of coffee ready for me when I get there. Your hospitality also starts at that front door, and technically it starts out in the parking lot, but we'll get to that in just a second. Be sure that you're telling people, have smiles, right? Nobody wants to greet a sourpuss, right? Nobody wants to show up on a cold, we're up north, right? So nobody wants to show up on a cold, snowy day and get greeted by a sourpuss. It's just not fun. So make sure that people smile. Select the right greeters for the door. Oscar the Grouch does not need to be on that team. There's lots of places that he can serve, but that's not one. Make sure that that team is strong and healthy, okay? Next one is gonna be what I like to call the courtesy team. You've probably got another name for it, and you can call it whatever you want, that's fine. But this is going to be your parking team. It's gonna be your security team. Technically speaking, your parking people are your first line of security. They will see something out in the parking lot that might not be right. They can then alert the security folks. They're also the first touch point for hospitality and greeting. Again, they've got to be people that can smile. They've got to be people that don't mind getting rained on sometimes or being outside when it's hot. There's a lot of environmental things, but it is so important because the signs are there to help direct people, and then your parking team is there to help them get where they need to go and then get into the building. Those are the basic things. If you check down here, we're gonna have a handful of resources, a couple of videos, and we're also gonna be here and ready when you are. You can reach us at info@portablechurch.com, check out our website, portablechurch.com, and you can call us at 800-939-7722. We look forward to talking with you soon. Jesse here. Looks like you finished another video. hit the like, subscribe, and the bell notification for us, and then check out this next video.